Live once again. Now, today I'm just going to go through a kind of reflection on the sermon that I went to on Sunday morning that Pastor John Norman gave to at Soul Church, talking about discontentment and being content, and how discontentment, the opposite to content, is more, and how much stress being discontent brings. And this is actually very, very apt when it comes to our health, and how that the more discontentment we see, the more we push, and actually the worse we make our health. And there are different damaging effects. I've got my notes here of living a life in discontent. And John went through these on Sunday. The live stream is still up on from Sunday. So if you wanted to check that, look on the Soul Church Instagram, look on the Soul Church YouTube. There will be links there. But the damaging effects of being discontent is that wanting more brings more tiredness. Wanting more brings more expenses. Wanting more brings more anxiety. Wanting more will lead to more conflict. And wanting more actually brings more dissatisfaction. And we're always discontent, so we push more. And I work with so many powerful entrepreneurs all around the world, busy professionals that want more. And we're looking to provide for our family because we want more and we want to leave this legacy. I was having a great conversation today with a legend from Norwich City Football Club, and we were talking about legacy and how the legacy we try and leave is something about after we're gone. We're constantly striving to push so that our children, our family is okay when we're gone, that our children and family is going to be comfortable when they're growing up. But actually, the discontentment is making us worse and worse when it comes to sickness. And I'm seeing signs more and more of low testosterone as a result of this discontentment. And this discontentment that we haven't got enough money to push ourselves forward. We haven't got enough money to be able to provide for our family. When actually what we're doing is the discontentment to improve our business, which we want to do, we want to move forward, is pulling away from the quality time with our kids, with our wives, with our friends, our family, our parents. And that there's only a limited amount of time we have with these people, that we're discontent with pushing our body and getting more money, increasing the stress because we want to have more quality time with these people. But can we spend more quality time? We ignore these signs that our body is stressed because they stop us from actually admitting to ourselves that our body is in that stressful state and that we need to do something about it. That, excuse me, we're waking through the night multiple times to go to the toilet. This is probably the number one thing I work with people on: sleep and how we can improve sleep. So many people look at health and they go down the fitness route rather than actually going down the health route, that I haven't got time to improve my fitness. Well, actually, if you slept through the night, you'd have so much more time because your health would be improved and we probably wouldn't need to work too much on fitness. And I haven't got time to do all these different things. Well, you have to sleep. So for starters, if you're getting 6 hours sleep, why don't you make it the best damn 6 hours sleep that you can get? And even though that's sleep deprived, we want to get some deep sleep, some REM sleep. We want to get different stages of sleep in there. And we're also ignoring the afternoon energy dips. We're ignoring the low motivation and drive and the low testosterone signs. Now, I got a questionnaire up here that the amount of guys that I see with low testosterone, with signs of low testosterone, but they've just been to the doctors and they've tested their total testosterone, and the doctors have said, you're fine. Now, when we look on the parameters of low and high, these parameters on Western medicine markers are based on sick people. So if we look, for example, 8 being low on total testosterone and 30 being high, that we wait until it gets to 8 to say you've got low testosterone. You're now clinically sick. Or 30, you've got high testosterone, you're clinically sick. You're out of these ranges. But if someone's been having 18, 19, 20 testosterone and go down to 11, 12, they're not going to be deemed as low testosterone, but they're lower than what they're used to. So we're having issues with that. Now, just having that total testosterone isn't the complete picture. You see, our testicles hopefully will produce testosterone. Around 5% is produced in the adrenals. Now, this testosterone has to get around the body. And in order to do that, it has to kind of get an Uber, has to get a taxi around the body, a thing called SHBG, sex hormone binding globulin. Now, if we have good liver function, good kidney function, we might be producing the right amounts of this SHBG. If we're not producing the right amounts and we're producing low, then that testosterone is going to be used up pretty much around the organs around where the testicles are. Now, we want there to be enough to be able to get the taxis there, put the testosterone in there, take it around the tissues where it gets saturated around the body. But we don't want it to be too high that actually the taxi drivers get in and then they smash their elbow down on the door so that you're not going to actually open the door and you're locked in there. And we don't then have enough free testosterone. We want this testosterone to go around the body, get dropped off at the tissue, and then be released into what we call free testosterone. So a lot of people are doing this testosterone test for total testosterone and not looking at the complete picture. Now, when I do a testosterone test as well, I want to see everything that's going on. When I do a blood test with a client, I want to see what their red blood cell count is. I want to see their white blood cell counts. I want to see their liver function, their kidney function. Inflammation is all going on in there. I want to see what their creatinine levels are. I want to see what their HbA1c is. All these things that are going to make a big difference. But so many times, I'll just get given total testosterone. Now, even if we were just doing a testosterone test, I want to see what your total testosterone is, so the total amount that's in the body. And then I want to see what your free testosterone is, how much we can actually use. Then I want to see what your sex hormone binding globulin is, the taxis that are going to take this around. I want to then see what your follicular stimulating hormone is, which is actually going to create sperm, is going to be spermatogenesis. And I want to see what your luteinizing hormone is, which is going to be producing the testosterone. And I want to see what those levels are. And if there are issues with SHBG, maybe we shouldn't focus on the testosterone necessarily. We should focus on the liver function, the kidney function, and make sure detoxification is happening and all these different things. And if there are issues with LH, then are we looking into stress management in the brain for your hypothalamus pituitary gonad axis, your HPG axis, to make sure the testes are getting the right signals? I've done videos on these. If you want the links, then let me know. But there are so many signs that testosterone is low. Now, there's a questionnaire called the Adam questionnaire. Now, this Adam questionnaire is just 10 signs. And if you go to a doctor and they say, do this Adam questionnaire, and you can search for it online. The place I'm on at the moment is the menshealthclinic.co.uk/Adam-screening-questionnaire. And these questions are, do you have decreased libido, sex drive? Do you have lack of energy? Do you have a decrease in strength or endurance? Have you lost height? Have you noticed a decrease in the enjoyment of life? Are you sad or grumpy? Are your erections less strong? Have you noticed a recent deterioration in your ability to play sports? Are you falling asleep after dinner? Has there been a recent deterioration in your work performance? So these are 10 basic questionnaires, but we see people that, not just that with testosterone, I've seen signs of low testosterone in people with ADHD. And when we've then improved their blood glucose management, their ADHD symptoms improved. And then a month or two later, the testosterone starts to rise up. So this is massively, massively linked. And their low testosterone was low because of their liver function and SHBG binding with too much testosterone, that actually, when we first looked at it, their total testosterone was all right. But because they had a dysfunction in their SHBG, then their free testosterone was really low. So actually, they didn't have enough usable testosterone. So they were going to their doctor, wondering why their ADHD symptoms were worse, that they were then getting modafinil being prescribed. They were also saying their testosterone was fine because the doctor was testing for their total testosterone. You just need to rest. You just need to sleep more. That's why you're low energy. That's why your focus isn't great. And when we sorted these things, we managed to help so much more than just the motivation and sex drive. We helped so much more. Now, what happens is, I was talking to someone today, as I said, about leaving a legacy. And it came about when I was walking through a graveyard. There's a graveyard near my house. And when I do a loop of the walk that I do some afternoons, is I go through that to cut through. It's actually, it sounds really morbid, but I remember going there with my nan and her mum and dad were there, so my great grandparents. And you look at some of the graves there, and they're all dilapidated. And you think about leaving this legacy, that people have left this legacy to go there, and their bodies have gone back to earth, and ashes to ashes, dust to dust, whatever we want to call it, whatever we want to say, that's their final resting place. But there's all overgrown weeds, and the gravestones are all subsided, and there are people that have been there 150 years or so. Were they focused on leaving a legacy? Maybe. Maybe there's some people there that truly changed and had a massive impact on how we live life now. There's people there maybe that invented medicines. There are founders probably of businesses locally here in Norwich that are buried there that we don't really even realize that are there, that we use daily. Maybe these people are there. Maybe there's sports professionals there that our great grandparents used to go and see and pay tickets, pay good money, their hard-earned money to watch them. But 2-3 generations down the line, we couldn't tell you who they are. Now, we're focusing on leaving this legacy so that people are provided for. But actually, how can we be have more quality with these people right now? How can we actually step back and say, if I improve my health, I can spend more time with my kids where I'm actually focused on my kids, on my children, rather than coming home, being drained from the day you've had and the junk food, processed quick food that you've had, having to have a beer to switch off. Then you get to the evening, your kid's about to go to bed, you haven't spent much time for them, you're frustrated because you're triggered about something at work, which you could have dealt with earlier, but that afternoon brain fog stopped because that stopped you from doing that. So you had to push through and your brain function just wasn't there. So now you've taken your work home. And when you do want to spend time with your kids, you can't switch off effectively because you're worried about the email that you just got. So you're reactive with them. But if we improve our health, if we truly work on improving our health and our brain function, the way our body works, our hormone status, and all these different things, we have more ability to do more in the time that we've got. And there was a trade-off with our health when it comes to the more money we want. And this came up as well. I wrote this note when we were actually in the service, and it was that the more money, the less sleep. The drive to get more money is a trade-off with our health and ability to provide physically for our children. It makes our lives shorter, so we have less overall time and even less quality time with them. And their focus is providing for their kids. But this is someone that I lost my dad when I was 15 years old. If you've followed me, you've seen my story, you've heard my journey and all these different things. I lost my dad when I was 15 years old. He was stressed out. He would have migraines. He would be the person that wanted to provide for his family. He was 47. I don't know who's watching this right now or how old you are or anything like this, but he was focused on providing for his family. And I was saying to this guy that I met for a coffee today that my dad wanted to retire in his mid-50s. He was 47 when he passed away, and he was already planning for an early retirement. So he was working hard, working his butt off to be able to then make sure that everything was good and comfortable, that he could still provide for his 4 children, for his grandchildren when he had retired. But he didn't get to have that retirement because he was focusing on that legacy, that provision further on. But actually, if we'd have put less pressure on ourselves, less discontentment going on, so we were more content of where we are, we could work a little bit longer, have a little bit less stress, a bit better quality of life, and so on. And I see these are other things that came up when we talk about the tiredness, the expenses, the anxiety, the conflict, is that I see so many people discontent with their body. And they see signs and they look in the mirror. The discontentment is there. They're discontent with their body and where their health is at. But they push things that bring more tiredness. So they're doing more intensity when they're training. And they're doing too many sessions. The same with working longer hours and getting their body, like they're trying to do more in less time. But if they could switch off and had more focus when they were working, they would spend more time with their children. So many discontent with their body that they end up pushing things that bring more expenses, having to take these wonder supplements that they were targeted at on Instagram that are magic pills so you don't have to do the hard work. They're not going to work without putting those foundations in place. And most of the time, those pills probably add 1%. Like, you do those foundations, you'll get everywhere you need to be. Then it brings more anxiety, having to tell your wife that you've fallen off again. I was speaking to someone today, and he'd had a conversation at an event on Sunday that this guy said, my wife tells me I need to get back in the gym. Your wife tells you need to get back in the gym? I remember, and I've spoken about this at my wedding day, I was really out of shape because I was just lying to myself that I didn't have time to get into shape. I didn't have time to have good hormonal balance or all these different things. I'm planning a wedding. I've got 2 Achilles that are nearly torn and I can't do the workouts. So all these different things. And it was a kick in the balls, but it took my wife basically having to say those sorts of things. Why did we let it get that far? This is 2016 when I was working with professional endurance athletes. My wife had to point out that I wasn't in the shape that I was a few years back. Imagine that. Like, I wish I'd have gone back to my younger self and said, look, stop procrastinating. You are making excuses. Do some work. But don't let it get to what this guy did at the weekend, like I did back in 2016, that you have to have your wife, your girlfriend, tell you that you're not in shape. The stuff that you already know that you've been procrastinating about, don't let it get to that point where they tell you this and it's even more of a kick in the balls, because by the time they've told you that, I know myself, correct me if I'm wrong, if you're watching this and you don't think this and your wife has told you this beforehand or anything like that, but before my wife got to that point where she had to tell me I wasn't in the shape that I'd been a few years ago, I'd kid myself a lot that I wasn't able to do that because I didn't have the time, didn't have whatever it was going on, that it wasn't the right time. I'd procrastinated so much. But when that actually happened, that was the kick in the balls that made me drop from like my 30th birthday to our honeymoon was something like 3 months, 4 months. And there was about 40 pounds that dropped. Around 20 kilos got dropped. Now, also with discontent with our body, and we're pushing up the things that bring more conflict. Again, as I've just said, with that reflection in the mirror and more dissatisfaction because the plan you tried wasn't sustainable. And now you think that it's just genetics why you can't lose weight. It's just genetics why you've got low testosterone. It's just genetics why you're not able to sleep. You're just getting older, so it's normal to sleep, wake up 4 times through the night because of prostate issues and all these different things. It's just genetics. They're just excuses. The genetics are the things that load the gun. And we're all born with a certain set of genetics. Thanks to our mums and dads that gives us these genetics and their generations that have gone past. Now, we might be predisposed to something really drastic to be happening in our body genetically. And I've seen this happen with twins where they may have been genetically predisposed to heart conditions, but one's been ridiculously stressed in one way, one's been more stressed in another way through whether it's financial, business stress, and the other stress being physical fitness stress, the good stress potentially. And one of them had no heart problems. The other one's had to have 2 or 3 heart operations. I've seen that. I've physically seen that in twins. I've worked with twins that are completely different as well, that live in different countries. Genetics load the gun, but your lifestyle, your environment, your nutrition, your drinking habits, stress management, they're the things that pull the trigger. And I want to help you if you are struggling with testosterone issues and you find it overwhelming, that I will help people improve their testosterone levels, improve their hormonal status, improve their health without having to stress over doing more. We want to take where you're at and move certain things slowly over so it's not overwhelming, so your body can't make excuses as to why you've not done it, why you've not followed through and completed it in the past. If you've got a personal trainer, great. Let's optimize what you're doing outside of that personal training. Some of my clients have personal trainers. I have programs that we can do if we wanted to add exercise. This isn't about the exercise. This is about doing the things around it which help you sleep, help you recharge, help your gut health better, help your hormones work better, help your liver, your kidneys, your detoxification systems work better. All these things without the harsh workouts or anything like that. But I wrote this here that I don't care first off about you not being able to sleep. We'll fix that. I don't care too much about the energy dips because we'll fix those. And the thing I care about is you spending time with your kids and being able to switch off. Not that your brain isn't functioning, that you're truly reactive, you're anxious about the stuff going on, the work stress, and you just can't focus on that moment. And you're taking it out on them and your wife, your girlfriend, whatever it is, hopefully not both. That's the thing I focus on. And there was a proverb that came up, whether you're religious or not, Proverbs 15:27. And it said, a greedy man brings trouble to his family. So I look to focus on these foundations that if we sleep well, if we hydrate well, if we have nutrient dense foods and good movement, we can move forward on our health. We don't have to overcomplicate it. The biggest thing though, those four things, there's a fifth one which we forget about and that we're taught that we don't need because of all the ads that are targeted to us, all the dopamine release and everything like that. And that is patience, that we have to set a time frame. I work 3 to 6 months with most people. It's very rare that I will work less with people. And sometimes we do it over a year. Just had a client renew after the year because he loved the accountability. If you need help with your health, just message me, reach out. This is the time to do something about it. Let's have a chat, have a coffee, grab some food, preferably steak, and let's just chat over these things and just see what's going on with your health. If you've had blood tests done or anything like that, let's have a look through them and see if there's a low-hanging fruit that we can improve to get you feeling good quickly and sustainably. Message me. I'm here to help. And I